All right, here we go with something new, solving systems of equations. It actually isn't completely new. If you start off by looking at example 1 on page 471 in your textbook, um, that'll remind you of what you learned about systems of linear equations and how to solve them in Algebra 1. And we're not going to go over how to do that, or Algebra 2 maybe. We're not going to go over how to do that. Because I'm just going to assume that you've looked at that example and that you know how to do it. It'll come back to you. Uh, Ones like that example are very simple. This is a slightly more complicated one, and it's in a more interesting scenario, more like a real world problem. You have in the blue, you have the notion that $25,000 is invested in two funds, and then in red, one fund paid 6.5% simple interest. The other paid 8.5% simple interest, and those, of course, are annual percentage rates. And the total amount of interest accrued at the end of 1 year is $2,000, and how much is invested in each fund. And the idea is to represent the blue sentence and the red sentence each as an equation. So here we go. Here's the fact presented to us in the blue sentence that $25,000 is invested in two funds. Now I'm thinking of the funds as being represented by variables x and y here. So x plus y equals 25,000. Now you might be thinking ahead a little bit. I need 6.5% of x plus 8.5% of y, assuming that x is the fund paying 6.5%. I'll just make a note of that here. And that y is the fund paying 8.5%. The red sentence can be represented this way. 0.065x is 6.5% of the x money, and 0.085y is 8.5% of the y money. Now, a good way to solve a system like this is using the method of substitution. We take that first equation there, and we solve for one variable or the other. It doesn't really matter which one. I'm going to solve for y because I like to deal with x. So y is 25,000 minus x. And then we substitute it into the second equation. Everywhere there's a y, we replace it with 25,000 minus x. So we have 0.065x plus 0.085 times 25,000 minus x, and that has to equal 2,000. And you can check me out on the arithmetic. I've done some of the math out here for us. What we get is negative 0.02x plus 2125 equals 2,000. You can see what we have to do. We have to subtract the 2125 from both sides. So we have negative 0.02x equals negative 125. And when we do that math, we get that x is $6,250. And then, of course, y was 25,000 minus 6,250, which is $18,750. So now we've got enough information on the page for someone to find the correct answer to the question, but we haven't really answered the question yet. So it's important that you finish off a problem like this by actually writing an answer to the question. And the answer is we're going to invest $6,250 in the 6.5% fund, and we're going to invest $18,750 in the 8.5% fund. And this is our complete answer to the question right here. Okay,